Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Driver's Apex. If you're new to the channel, my name is Thomas Donahue, and in today's video, we're going to detail a BMW Z8. So, not too many people have that privilege to detail a Z8, to drive it, to be around it, stuff like that. But in today's video, I have that luxury of being around a BMW Z8. So let's walk around the car real quick. All right, look at this beaut. So, wheels, tires, of course. The car's got some mud on it. We'll make sure the interior is clean as well. This car is going to a car show. All this will get cleaned. But the main reason this car is here is to detail the engine bay. Right now it's a little warm. I don't detail cars. If it's warm, I want to make sure everything is as cool as possible because I don't want to damage plastics or cloud them or anything else like that. So that's a big thing today. So I've got maybe about 8 hours to get this done. That's the goal, is engine bay. All right, so I'm gonna walk you through what I'm using, Karcher K1700, but we're not gonna use the power washer, especially up here. Maybe on the wheels, maybe down low here to break some dirt off. We are not technically going to power wash in here. What we're gonna use is just the off function of the power washer so that we can use the spray fan. And then we're not using any fancy detergents or soaps. Simply what we're gonna use is some Car Pro Reset. Just a gentle wash. So that'll be the bucket for the outside, that'll be the bucket for the wheels, and then of course we'll change out the bucket again for the engine bay, but I want to use the gentlest dirt, bugs, products as possible here, and then we're going to use a water-based shine protectant, buff it off real good. That'll be used for tires. This will be used for the fender liners. I want to make sure the fender liners are nice and clean. So those are the products we're going to use. What I may do is come in here and just put a towel or tarp or something gently here to protect it. All right, so one of the products we're using, or one of the tools, we're using one of these little tiny things, but I've mainly been using one of these big, like woolly brushes from Adams. It's really nice as you can get in here. And then I've also been using this. This is from Obsessed Garage, but this is really good for getting into these spots. And then in that brake caliper area, you need something, because I don't want to move the car. So it's really good for getting in there. This brush, I just use a regular brush for cleaning tires. That was Car Pro Retire. And then I'm gonna use a small boar's head brush and we'll get all in these lug nut areas. So what I'll probably do again, because the tires look pretty dirty, is we'll fill this up with some Retire. We'll scrub again, get all this washed. I'm probably gonna dry because I'm not gonna wash the car yet. I wanna transition to the engine bay soon. Some spots I can tell that still need a little bit more. I want to make sure we get those. I've got a smaller brush. I'm going to look for that one in a minute after I do this tire, because I think this requires a smaller tire brush. All right, so the wheels, tires, all clean on the inside. I'm not using anything super aggressive here. All back in there, it's about as clean as we're gonna get it, but all in here is clean, that looks good. So what I'm going to do next is I'll begin the process of hosing down here. Careful not to get too high up there. Really the goal here is to get as much of this dirt and grime off as possible, but we're certainly gonna have to use probably a little bit of tar remover, which makes sense around here. And then we'll get to here, and then it's all gonna be done by hand. So what I need now to do is I'm gonna empty all this out. Begin the process of hosing down the car. One of the things that I need to invest in is a better hose for the power washer. This thing is kind of pink. And what's nice is now, come in here, without using a ton of pressure, get a little closer. Now we can work on this. Voila. Car's slowly getting there, just taking our time. One of the things that I need to focus on, and I'll do the best that I can, I need to get some of these water spots out, and then I need to try, so you can see this buildup of water here. It's either a buildup of water or it's the chrome. It looks like maybe it's actually the chrome. I don't know, actually. I'll have to talk to the owner about that. But I want to be careful in here as much as possible. I suspect, let me know what you guys think. If this is chrome, it looks almost like the chrome is coming off. So I actually want to be very careful there. So I'm just going to clean this up the best that I can, and then I'll talk to him afterwards. But so this is done for the most part. I'll try to shine some of this up. Some of this is actually from rock chips as well. So it looks like rock chips tend to build up in that area. What I need to do next is I need to get down here with some tar remover. Use some tar remover, get that cleaned up. Over here looks pretty good. Back here looks pretty good. So I need to spend some time here and get some tar remover and get that cleaned up. So that will be next. So let's start with something mild first. Let's just spray here. I can't remember when talking to the owner if this was something that he was thinking about, where these side inserts, if that was something he was thinking about for the future. But if he is, I think it's probably a good idea to just scoop them up and have them. Okay, ooh, look at that shine, everybody. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this has been washed. Everything's good. Here, all down there is nice and clean. We're not gonna touch the tires until much later in the wash process. Let's go to the other side just for comparison. This side's not as dirty, but yeah, you can see a lot of the dirt, stuff like that. Areas like here, we wanna be very careful when cleaning and agitating here. So we'll make note of that. We'll make note of here. We just wanna be careful in a couple spots. We've washed up to half. There's much more shine here than there is shine here. But let's go to the engine bay. I'm gonna talk to you about what I'm gonna do in the engine bay. So the first thing that we wanna do is we do not wanna introduce any kind of water, anything else like that until we've dusted. So that's where the compressor, Bob's the name. Bob, we're gonna take Bob, we're gonna get in here and we're gonna air compress as much as possible. Let me I'll show you what I mean. Let's go right here and just watch. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll put it on time lapse. We'll make it kind of fancy, something like that. But we're gonna air compress as much of this as possible. We'll probably air compress up here as well. Make sure it looks as clean as possible. We'll also detail all in here because the bonnet of this car will be up at the car show. So I wanna make sure that everything is as presentable as possible. But first, let's compress air everything. Let's take a look here. So it's not, let's see, it's hard to see with the lighting because of the backlighting. So we're using compressed air here. We want this to look just like fresh, clean carpet as much as possible. It was pretty dirty. It's useless to have all of this clean and for this to look really dirty. So we still got some spots up here. It's just an issue of air. It's a small compressor. Love that compressor. We just need a little bit more air, a little more time, and then we'll get all of this then will be clean and ready. I did a little bit of spraying in here with the air compressor. Need some more time. But next what we're gonna do is all of these things are gonna be covered, and I've got zip ties, stuff like that. So MAF sensors, double MAF sensors, all these connectors are gonna be covered. We wanna make sure that we take care with this car. I want the customer to be able to pick up the cart and be able to drive it without any fault codes, hesitations, anything like that. So we're gonna spend some time after we finish blowing, covering everything that's important or that's really, really vital. We wanna spend some time doing that next. All right, so I'm satisfied here. It looks really good. Also, in these areas here, all of that's been cleaned just with air. It's like a real smooth carpet. I don't want to mess up the carpet. And then, let's see, also did that side. Everything's been pretty much air compressed. We've got a blanket here, so as we're leaning against the front of the car, we're not causing any scratches. Also not wearing any clothes that would cause scratches as well. So I think what we're gonna do next is, what I might do is come in here just lightly, clean these up here just with a brush, a little bit of water, then air compress them off gently, then cover, and then we'll start covering things. So let's start here. Sorry there's not a microphone. I'm using my DJI for filming. So let's do this. Let's get in here and let's start with just some basic agitation. I may need to use a diluted concoction of like a degreaser in here. I don't want to use anything full strength. That is for darn sure. So let's do this. Let's look for my boar's head brush. Oh, it's right here. I've got some stuff here. I've got some electrical tape on some of these solenoids here as well. You could, if you wanted to, and I didn't get permission from the customer, and so I'm not going to do this, but you could effectively remove the air box, the MAF sensor, all of these types of things, plug the intake, and then you could really get in here, but that's tricky. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to risk damaging something, so we're just going to leave it like that and do the best we can to work around it. So let's see how far we get with just a basic soap and water mixture, because I'm not too keen on using something more aggressive than what is truly necessary. And I want to be very careful of the products that we use on the plastics. You definitely don't want to use any degreasers, anything like that. It's gonna stain the plastics and it's gonna make it look really, really bad. We don't want that at all. It's never good to experiment on someone else's car, especially a car this expensive. This is not a car that you take lightly. This is something we want to take our time on, be careful with, not rush. You can't rush. You have to take your time. And that's the beauty is, I don't have my own shop. I'm not in a rush, anything like that. So I don't have to really worry about rushing. I just take my time, use common sense. So what we'll do is we'll work this first part. And then what I'm really curious about is, are we making a difference right now? If we are, we'll keep moving forward. If we're not, then we need to reevaluate our methods and figure out something new. So what I need to do is finish rinsing this, and then we're gonna air compress this, and I just wanna see, are we making a difference? Because it makes no sense to keep working if we're not making a difference. Yes, I'm gonna say we are making a difference. I'm using a very gentle soap here. I can, if necessary, get in here with some Q-tips. Actually, I am going to use some Q-tips in certain areas, and I can agitate a little bit more. But we're using a boar's head brush. It's not super aggressive, super soft, and it allows me not to cause too much kind of marring, anything else like that. We wanna be really, really, really careful. So I'm gonna continue with this. All right, let's put the camera there, because I'm sure all of us want to see this washed. Okay. I'm still using the CarPro. I'm using the safest products that I have in the garage. I think that's the key, is gentle. I'm not trying to use anything aggressive. I'd rather it be not quite as clean and no damage versus really clean but evidence of damage. I don't think that makes sense. The opportunity cost is certainly not in my favor, nor the owner of the car. So I want to be really careful of that. And I think that's important for you guys as well to think about, is what am I using it? How am I using it? Why am I using it? Really thinking it through, I think, is important. Because the last thing you want to do, and I've done this, and this is why I'm able to talk about this, is you get excited, you just start throwing product on the car, and then you go to rinse it, and the plastic's bleached, or there's spots on it, or anything else like that. It's just, trust me, horrible, horrible feeling. All this is gonna have to be lightly blown now that it's wet, and we expected it to be wet, so it's not a surprise. But it's gotta take a little more care with it being wet, that's all. Make it all in here as well. There's a lot of places here on the car, but it's actually surprising with an enormous V8. There's, I'd say, ample room in this car for working on it. So it's actually really neat, especially for detailing it. It's pretty easy to get in everywhere, which actually makes me really, really happy. Okay, so let's rinse this. We're rinsing it without power. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is, after we rinse this, is I'm gonna dry it next, because I wanna see what does it look like, what do I need to do next, those types of things. But thus far, I've not seen any bleaching of plastics or anything else like that. So that's why I didn't start here first. I started on some of the cheaper plastic pieces that if I needed to replace it for a customer, I could. An intake and other pieces like that is a very different story. All right, so let's dry it. right, success. No discoloring, anything like that. And then it's not a plastic per se. I mean, it is a plastic, but it's not like this type of plastic. But we'll use a water-based product on here. It'll shine it up, but it won't attract any dirt, which is really, really important. All down in here is next, but after we do that next. So that's pretty quick. We'll get all that cleaned. This is probably gonna get wet again. That's okay. I'm a fan of just spending a little more time drying so that we don't have any water spotting issues like that. So we'll get in here, then we'll clean it here and so forth. So that's probably gonna get wet a couple more times. Some of it's kind of already just been cleaned just because I've been putzing around in here, but we'll hit it up some more. Got all these hoses, all that good stuff. So I'm just gonna get in there lightly and clean it. Yeah, I'll show you what I mean. So right in here, so we need to clean a little bit in here, all that stuff, but I need to be real careful. I don't want to risk like a power washer, stuff like that getting in there. Let's talk a little bit more. So this works pretty well. I didn't have any CarPro products for plastic, but this works pretty well. I think it's Pearl is the CarPro kind of equivalent. I just don't have any on hand. Yeah, so this is gonna work nice. This is gonna seal this, make it look good. This looks really good, like really good. All right, guys, I am finally done with this detail. It's been a super satisfying experience, though it doesn't mean that my body doesn't hurt and that I am utterly exhausted. All right, so it's super windy out right now. The customer didn't ask for the interior to be done. It's just something that I like to do. Looks super fresh again. All the leather's been detailed everywhere all around here. I think it looks miles better. I'm gonna hit this spot here real quick. Let's see here. Let's just start here. You can see the shine in the paint, the tires, wheels look really good. Of course, there's rust on the rotors, but that'll go away quite quickly. Everything is perfectly clean. As you can see with the shine, looks super good. All this, I had to move the car about 6 inches so I could get the car in the garage so I could shut the door some. So that I'll take care of because that's gonna water spot. Yep, you can see the shine. And that's without polishing or anything else like that. Everything looks good. But what you guys want to know is, what does the engine bay look like? So I'm going to show you. All right, it's time to see. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it looks exceptionally well detailed. It's super clean. I think the client's going to be super happy. Everything's been taken care of. Everything's been dialed in. Looks really good. So yeah, you can see down here, all the paint's clean, all in there's clean. Intake's clean, shock towers, every bit of plastic is clean. Got as much of the metal areas as clean as possible. Those take a little bit of work. But yeah, I think it looks really good. Comment below, what do you guys think? You saw what it looked like beforehand. Now you see what it looks like now. Do you see a difference? I hope you guys can see a difference. I feel like I can see a difference. Definitely a big, big, big difference. So when the customer pops the bonnet, they'll be super happy. Everybody's gonna admire, be super excited. Also, I took care of the trunk. I won't show you the trunk, but the trunk's done, and I put all the nice little triangles, stuff like that, in the carpet. So I hope you guys like this video. There's not many. Man, I'm tired. Not a lot of videos out there detailing Z8s. I like to do a lot of detail work. It's a lot of fun. It's very satisfying. But I hope you guys like this video. If you haven't subscribed and you want to look for, if you want more content, hit that subscribe button. If you guys have any comments, drop those comments in the comment section, and thank you for watching.